Have you ever stopped to think how much you use your legs on a daily basis? We use our legs to perform everyday functions of life, including walking, driving a car, mowing the lawn, just to name a few. Now imagine going one day without the use of even one of your legs. The amount of things you could do would be very difficult. According to a March 2008 article from the Archives of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation, there are nearly 2 million people in the United States with limb loss, of which 86% of those losses are in the lower extremities. But through the discovery of prosthetics, which is defined as an artificial replacement of a part of the body, many people are now able to live their everyday lives without limitations, even after losing a limb or multiple limbs. The evolution of prosthetic limbs have come a long way throughout history to help give people freedoms of living their everyday life and continues to advance with breakthroughs in technology. First, I'm going to give you a brief history on prosthetic limbs. Then I will discuss the impact that prosthetic limbs have on thousands of lives. And lastly, I will talk about the exciting future of where prosthetics is going. The first known prosthetic was a toe, dating back to 950 BC, which was discovered on a mummified body of an Egyptian lady, according to a 2000 article by Megan Garber in Atlantic magazine called The Perfect 3,000-Year-Old Toe. The toe was made of fiber and believed to be worn more for a sense of wholeness rather than functionality. Prosthetics began to see advancements with the hand hook and peg leg, most of which were made to hide deformities and injuries from battle. Prosthetics began to move from being made primarily of fiber and wood to iron, copper, and steel during the Renaissance period, inspired by art, philosophy, science, and medicine. The 17th through 19th century saw the biggest advances in prosthetic design as there were more and more breakthroughs in amputation procedures as a result of war injuries. Prosthetics became more prevalent in the U.S. during the Civil War, and the Surgeon General of the Army began to realize the importance of technology in development of prosthesis. As a result, the American Orthotic and Prosthetic Association was formed, paving the way to the development and production of modern prosthesis. Prosthetic devices today are made of much lighter materials such as plastic, aluminum, and composite in order to provide amputee with the most efficient and functional devices. Now that I've provided you with a brief history and evolution of prosthetic limbs, I would now like to talk about the impact they have on thousands of amputees born without limbs. There are many reasons why people lose limbs. According to the U.S. National Library of Medicine reports from January 2014, poor circulation, severe injuries, disease, infection, and birth defects are cited as some of the most common. As I mentioned before, 86% of limb loss is in the lower extremities. So those patients who have lost both legs have the option of prosthetic legs or a wheelchair. Prosthetics allow individuals the freedom of movement by mimicking the movement of natural legs. Although it may be more difficult, prosthetics raise the quality of life by lifting the limitations they would have being confined to a wheelchair. Prosthetics are becoming more commonplace in a variety of recreational and sporting events. Specially designed prosthetics can allow participants to run, swim, bike, snowboard, play basketball, and the list goes on. Another impact prosthetics have on those who have lost limbs, though, has to do more with social image. Even dating back to the first prosthetic that were worn not for functionality, but for wholeness, you can see that their acceptance and image was important even back then. Many amputees feel less discomfort with their conditions when wearing prosthetics because of the ability to blend in better with the crowd. Prosthetics have been able to improve lives of thousands of people for many years, but with breakthroughs in technologies, the future is even more exciting. From robotic limbs to artificial organs, advances in technology have led to an explosion of innovation in the field of prosthetics. According to an article, Prosthetic Limbs Controlled by Thought, published in the New York Times in May 2015, engineers at Johns Hopkins University have developed a robotic arm that has 26 joints, can curl up to 45 pounds, and is controlled with a person's arm, with the person's mind, just like a regular arm. These prosthetics are being engineered to respond to nerve signals sent from the brain to the artificial limb through a technique called targeted muscle reinnervation. The redirected nerves not only enable movement by thought, they enable amputees to feel objects through their prosthetics. Although it has not been approved by the FDA at this point, they hope the modular prosthetic limb, or a version of it, will be available to consumers in the near future. Throughout history, limbs have been impacting people's lives in a positive way. And technology continues to improve in a way in which people who have lost limbs are able to live their lives. Many of us don't know what it's like to lose a limb, and most of us never will. So again, I invite you to imagine going one day without the use of your hands, legs, or arms. It seems like performing everyday tasks would be impossible, but through the use of prosthetics, the impossible is now possible.